Hello, my fellow hunters. Today we are going to talk about the Black Dragons. The most powerful creatures in the Monster Hunter world. The first-class dangerous monsters. Vitalis, Dire Miralis, and Alatreon, the latter of which is the one we are more than likely going to get in world, and we'll talk about how that might happen later. But for now, we should start with Vitalis, who, what can I say? This is his background music. And then this is his background music if you filter out the vocals and instruments. Yeah, that's just how terrifying he, honestly, legit, right? The more you know. Vitalis, then, is the lore-wise most feared, dangerous, and powerful creature in, well, the world, containing such power that he could destroy an entire kingdom by himself. And, well, he kinda did. For the kingdom of Shrade, who he decimated, ending the Dragon War, it was the most horrific day in their lives. Humanity received a grim reminder. For Vitalis, it was Tuesday, but the point stands, he is immensely strong, and in fact, the entire Shrade kingdom is a desolate, barren landscape that Vitalis calls home. Legend says that original ancient Vitalis, because this happened many years ago, from, current today in Monster Hunter, but legend has it that Vitalis, that original one that destroyed Shrade, is still alive. Now, the Dragon War is a whole other topic of discussion. I want to focus on them as creatures, what they do, especially Alatreon, who, as I said, we're likely to get. But because of that war, Vitalis is incredibly, let's just say, grumpy towards humanity. He's not a fan of people. Now, he's not a fan of really anything with a breath within, a couple miles of him, but people in particular he's not a fan of. In fact, this is kind of how he reacts to humans.
Is that a human?
At least I like to imagine it's more towards the ripping and the shredding, and many hunting parties have gone after Vitalis. Very few have returned, and those that do are kind of on the insane, traumatized, and really completely ruined for life spectrum. So not great. In terms of his actual tangible power when you fight him, then, he's your typical dragon. He's the most dragony dragon in Monster Hunter. What you think of when you imagine dragon. The forelegs, the head shape, the wings. He is, well, literally a black dragon. Now, there is a crimson Fatalis, which is essentially a Fatalis that actually got repelled and fled to a volcanic region, and due to that repelling, making him even madderer at humans, his anger turned him the crimson red of the lava he now called home. And then there is also a white Fatalis, who is an ancient Fatalis whose scales have turned from the black to this lovely luminescent white. He's given up his control of fire for a control of lightning, weather, and storm that makes Kirin look like someone just gave a taser to a horse. And he is even more immensely powerful than base Vitalis, but they are both subspecies, and I want to focus on, the OG. So Vitalis himself, as a traditional dragon, has one hell of a command of fire, able to explode fireballs of such immense size and deadliness that, well, you're gonna fucking die. And his control of fire and his potency makes Teostra looks like somebody gave a lighter to a cat. Why am I giving so many dangerous objects to animals? Don't do it, okay? It's irresponsible, and I'm sorry. Because he hates humans so much, right? When he defeats hunters, which he do a lot, he melts them down. Yep, he takes the hunter that is dead, defeated, and decimated, puts it against Vitalis's body, uses his fire to melt the hunter and the armor onto his scales to shore up his own defense. Yep, that's right, Vitalis has weakness exploit level 17. He genuinely uses this hunter armor that he's melted onto himself in a true tale of grim irony to power himself up on top of his own natural formidable might. Which I think is kind of just a badass thing for him to do, and it is a sign of just how intelligent this creature is. He has an attack that's like a laser fire gout flamethrower beam that is just unbelievably powerful. It's his like big boom attacks. You don't really want to be near his face. His tail whips backwards and forwards, crushing bone and slapping hunters aside with deadly force. His bite can crush rocks. His wing membranes are said to be stronger than steel. He can move at a speed that should be impossible for something of his size and bulk, and altogether he gon' fuck your day up. Now the thing is, for something with such a legend behind him, he's really quite simple in how he fights and functions. He's deceptively so, both visually, and his moveset doesn't really scream can be said to destroy the world in flame in a couple days if he wanted to. Whether that's true or not, well, it's a legend, but he seems to very much at least come across as, is that it? Like, if I told you, behold, the most powerful creature in all of Monster Hunter World lore, I feel like you would expect something that looks a bit more intimidating than Vitalis, and that's always something that I found interesting about him. I mean, I think he's still really cool, but I don't know. Now, he makes everything run in fear from him. Other monsters seem to have a almost instinctual way of avoiding Fatalis at all costs. A Liaocheng Lung, which is this huge, colossal dragon, and this one is said to be an adolescent, by the way, at least that's a common theory, has been a problem because it is running from a Fatalis. So, size-wise doesn't seem to bother him, so maybe even an adult Dalamedeur, which would be like 2 to 7 miles long based on the skeleton in the Rotten Vale, but see that theory video for more info on that, should still essentially be terrified of Vitalis. Vitalis seems to command this unnatural aura of obey and run. And that is kind of cool, right? Like, he's almost the de facto commander of all the other Elder Dragons, at the very least out of sheer fear. Though I would still love to see a battle between an adult Dalamedeur and a Fatalis. In fact, actually, what do you guys think of a series actually dedicated to properly analysing who would win between various monsters? Obviously, you know, this isn't an original idea, right? Let's take two things and fight them, but in terms of Monster Hunter specifically, I think that could be kind of cool, especially when we're focusing it on their natural adaptations of who would come out on top, not just turf war-wise, but if they actually had to fight to the death. I could probably have some fun with that. But yeah, Vitalis then, his armor, if you do manage to slay one, ever so rare that that feat is, it eventually starts to grow back while you're wearing it. It will encase the hunter in it, covering him up slowly, covering his face, and eventually the hunter goes missing, and it's said a new Fatalis, well, forms from the armor made from its corpse. Whether that's true or not, well, again, that's up to you, but it is definitely true that hunters go missing after they wear Fatalis armor for too long. And essentially, Fatalis is just very bad news. Now, there are multiple of them. They're still a creature, no matter how powerful and intelligent it is. And black dragons, then, are not their own, like, group of animals. All black dragons are elder dragons, but not vice versa. But if we were to measure it in threat level, the three I'm talking about today would be like threat level 6, as opposed to the Elder Dragons in-world, which are threat level 3. Next black dragon that we're going to talk about is Dire Miralis, and there's less to say about this guy, but he's still very cool. Now, he is half aquatic, and his fight did involve going underwater and attacking his legs and body while swimming around him, back when underwater combat was a thing, which kind of is an issue because he boils oceans. And I'm really not exaggerating here. He boils oceans. Yep, just via wading through a sea, he wiped out every other living thing due to the intense heat that the fluids in his body get to and therefore radiate outwards. He essentially boiled an ocean and decimated its ecosystem, turning it into the Tainted Sea, known as such because everything that he killed by just existing then bled out into the ocean, filling the sea with blood, tainting it with blood. Blood sea. Blood everywhere. Yeah. A desolate, lifeless stretch of water that only Dire Miralis inhabits. Now, because it's only him and he's still just one creature, he can't be everywhere, it actually is quite a peaceful thing for sailors to sail through. There's no chance of being attacked by anything else, but the point remains, if you can passively decimate an ecosystem, yeah, you got a lot going for you. He occasionally ventures out to islands and, sinks them. Sinks islands! What? His wings have fused and changed into a mortar system that takes the incredibly hot fluids produced by his body, fires them into the air, and causes Armageddon. Armageddon! Meteors rain from the sky, fired from them like cannons, exploding in hellfire destruction that decimates all around him. What? And he's not even quite as powerful as Vitalis, but he's clearly there. He doesn't have quite the hatred for the living things, but it's still a strong dislike. He is crazy strong, and he's another monster that people really don't face and live to tell the tale all that often. In fact, a lot of people do believe that he is another form or an incarnation of Vitalis himself, given their similar kind of body structure if you look past the mortar cannons of lava. So, let's say you slay a Dire Miralis and cut out its heart and wave it triumphantly above your head. You know what you'll hear? Yep, that's right. His heart does not stop beating, even once removed from his body. He will regenerate and regrow into a living, fully formed Dire Miralis from just his heart. Wolverine, get fucked. This is an uncanny, unnatural ability, and it's, well, hard to justify from a natural perspective, which is why a lot of people do believe that some Elder Dragons, especially the Black Dragons, are kind of mystical in their power, but, maybe it's just an extreme version of Nergigante spikes. Very extreme, but, I mean, we have animals in real life that can live for a while without, having heads, but I guess without having every part of your body but your heart is probably taking it a bit far. Dire Miralis is quite huge then. He's bigger than actual Vitalis. His hide is akin to striking through rock, and his whole body just glows with an intense heat. He is equally at home in the water as on land. He's got impressively powerful physical attacks, raining down lava, fire everywhere. He's a good old fiery dragon-y fight with a little bit of water flavor to keep it interesting, and he's probably my least favorite of the three, but he's very visually cool. His mouth and his head with the magma lines, he does have a badass aesthetic going to him, but that's really all there is to say about him. There's not as much going on there. So all that's left then is to talk about Alatreon, and the best way I can describe him is...
Only the Avatar, master of all four elements, could stop them. But when the world needed him most, he vanished.
So, it's said that Alatreon is capable of destroying the world. It has command... of the whole world. People think that it is a god or a demon, transformed into an Elder Dragon, because why not, right? It has command then over all the elements, as you may have guessed. It can do thunder, ice, fire, and dragon, not water though. It can go into the air and cause thunderstorms, hail to bombard the land, flame everywhere, dragon power, and essentially he is a walking, unstable concoction of destructive force. He's known as the Blazing Black Dragon. He is a walking natural disaster. Because of his elemental instability, he affects the very weather around him. He can cause thunderstorms, hailstorms, firestorms, a lot of the time without even meaning to. It's just his passive power. And imagine then if this guy goes to the new world. Imagine that effect. Imagine the danger, the panic. Which is why it would have to be a huge event. Now, his scales are so sharp that just attacking him, you get shredded, which is a pretty effective defense. His physical strength and hardness of his horn is such that he can slap rocks and shatter them. Now, his horns are really quite impressive, and they are used to help control, at least a little bit, and channel his elemental prowess. In fact, that's the theme over a lot of monsters. Horns used like lightning rod, but for more than just lightning, to be like foci for power, like a mage and a wand. So if you break them, it causes the instability to be even more unstable. The same way Kirin controls lightning using his horn. It's a very much a prevalent biological feature, but Alatreon turns it all the way up to 11. He stands proud and tall, emanating this aura of superiority that I think's awesome. I think he looks badass. His fight is by far and away the most fun, because of all the elements going off, the changing phases, having him in the air, though I feel like flash pods will make it a little bit trivial. I hope they change and upgrade his fight a little bit for World, and essentially he is just a lot of fun, and he really does sell the power that he is lore-wise in the fight, which is really important. He's quite large as well, but still very fightable. Smaller than Zeno, it still feels intimate. So if he was spotted going to the new world, it would be, well, you know, crisis stations. Because imagine his weather-changing nature being applied to a small-ish location that is the New World. Imagine if while he was the active event, maybe the Alatreon invasion lasts like a week. Maybe we've not seen a black dragon in the New World before because they're such long-lived creatures, and only now on the 5th Elder Crossing has an Alatreon reached the age where it is time to come to die. But during the event that the Alatreon is the main focus, any given hunt you go on in any of the locations, imagine if the weather has become elementally unstable, uncharged. You're in the ancient forest and thunderstorms are racking the trees, lightning striking the ground, affecting both you and your target. You're in the Coral Highlands and fire clouds are blanketing the sky and occasional globs of lava are hitting the ground. How awesome would that be? And you would be sat there going, I have to go fight the thing that is passively causing this to happen? Being in the Wildspire Waste and having hailstorms batter the ground. Oh, like how cool would that be? I definitely think he'd need his own arena. Like Zeno, he definitely needs the space to be properly appreciated as a battle, although seeing him turf war would be amazing. A black dragon turf warring? One way to really sell his power would be that his cutscene should involve him absolutely decimating a Nergigante, who we know fights, kills, and eats other Elder Dragons. That would be a perfect way to get across just how strong he is. But yeah, that's how I would do Alatreon, and I think it's going to be amazing when he gets added. There's no reason to think he's not going to. The leak list has been bang on so far, and it's going to be awesome. Let me know what you guys thought of this. I obviously love talking about the game, its monsters, its lore, and I could have made a much longer video on each one of these, but I wanted to kind of do an overview of the 3 main black dragons, especially as we're likely to get one. I have got plans to talk about many more monsters, including Rajang, the Super Saiyan monster. Yeah, he's fantastic, but if there's any you'd particularly like me to go over, or any more lore, I kind of want to do a lore on the Hunters Guild and how it operates, because I think that's very interesting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Alatreon and how how you'd like to see it in world. Like if you did have fun, share it around if you found yourself going, that's cool. It really does help. And subscribe for more. My name has been Josh. Good.
Rage Gaming with the video float.
But that's all that's really relevant at the mo, but I'm still gonna leave this up so you patrons know that I love you even though the outro's no longer that kinda relevant. But the new one's being worked on and it's gonna be a truly badass song, and don't worry, I won't be doing any rapping on it. I'm gonna go now. This was shit.